Mount Holly, and thank you all for coming to the GBA and City of Mount Holly Candidate Forum sponsored by Paramount Health. We're so glad that you all are here in person. We're also recording tonight's program, and within 48 hours we will have that available at the Gaston Business Association's site. My name is Steve DeAbraham. I'm the Senior Vice President of the GBA. I've been honored to serve as your moderator in 2019, 2021, this year in 2025, and 2 years ago we did more of a social there. So I appreciate you guys being here. I am a citizen of Gaston County, but not of Mount Holly. I will do my best to be as impartial as possible tonight as we introduce our candidates and get them started. I do want to thank, especially we've got our Mayor of Mount Holly, David Moore. Thank you, David, for being here. Janice Brooks, Kenneth Reeves, and Jeff might be at soccer or something. Jeff? Phyllis Harris, sorry. And Police Chief. Gosh, everybody's here. Thank you all again for being here. We do appreciate it. How the format's going to work. Every candidate's going to have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, 2 minutes or less, 15 seconds. Mr. Mumford, our CEO of the GBA, is going to flash a yellow sign. After those 2 minutes are up, he's going to flash the red sign. We're going to ask you all to wrap up your thought at that point before we turn the lights off. Then we will, after those introductions, ask a series of questions. Folks will have 1 minute or less to respond, and then we'll move on to the next person. Sometimes the whole group is going to answer the question. Sometimes it might just be to my left or to my right for the sake of time. At the end is when folks can either give rebuttals to the comments that were made or just have their own closing comments, because our goal is to wrap this up within an hour. So we will do that and respect your all's time. So with that, we are going to start to my far right here. I'm just going to call them by their first names, and I know that might be a lack of protocol, but I'm going to let Irene start with introductions. We'll go from my right to my left, and then from my left, we'll start with the first question. So, Mr. Craig.
My name is Ivory Craig Jr. I am currently on City Council in Mount Holly, so a lot of you know me as well. I am a former police officer for the City of Mount Holly. I went through basic law enforcement training in Gaston County and got hired by the City of Mount Holly in 2015. I was then hired by Belmont, City of Belmont, recruited by them in 2018, and I went over to Belmont as their community officer. So at that time, I was able to come back to Mount Holly and run for City Council. Currently, I'm in real estate. I'm a realtor in the area. Most of you have seen my real estate signs, not just my campaign signs. So if you need to sell your house, let me know. But also, I'm a long-time resident here. I grew up in Mount Holly. I went to Ida Rankin Elementary School, Mount Holly Middle School, and then East Gaston in 2006. And I'm up for re-election. It's my unofficial campaign slogan is "I hate campaign season," because simply it's a whole lot. We went to an event this morning. We're here tonight, and I'm surprised I didn't have to take a nap in between. But I appreciate you all being here to listen, to talk in person, to interact in person instead of social media, and hope you like my answers in a few.
Thank you, Aaron. My name is Gary Brinkley. I grew up here in Mount Holly. I'm a seventh generation descendant of an American Revolutionary soldier. I went to high school here, and I've lived in Mount Holly about 35 years. I love being here, and I love this community. I want to do what I can to make it a better place to live. My number one goal is to help figure out how to reduce our city taxes. I've been here long enough, and I watch my taxes go up and up and up. And as I've talked to a number of residents, they say the same thing. They say, "Ray, you got to get those under control." This past year, our budget was, I think, $42 million, and I'm quite sure that $42 million would be found some savings. We need to figure out where to pass those back to the citizens to reduce our tax rates. We got to get a grip on this. We can't run people out of town because of taxes. And I had people tell me, I up into your income, you think, this can't go on. I'm getting yellow sign after 15 seconds, I'm going to wrap up. I thank the GBA for putting this together. It was a great event. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I am Chuck Williams. I'm a fourth generation Mount Holly resident. I have lived here all my life, off and on, but continually for the past 25 years. During that time that I've lived here, I've been involved in different things, community development when they first started years ago. Did some work with those guys. I work with the River Sweep. I enjoy going out kayaking, getting out on the water, and it's even better when you get out on the water and help out by cleaning a little bit. But the last 5 years I've been involved with the HOA in our community. I'm the president of the HOA, and during that time I've had the opportunity to work with Mount Holly staff from top to bottom, and in different projects and different things that we've had going on that's benefited our community and the city. And in working with these guys and solving a lot of issues, I thought, why don't I take what I've learned about the community and involve that on a larger scale? I believe in leadership. I believe in speaking up when you need to. I believe in working with folks when you need to. But I do believe in leadership for Mount Holly is what we need. And I appreciate the invitation. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jared Ficino. I've been married for 27 years to my awesome wife, Mary Lee. We have 4 daughters, and I have 1 granddaughter. We moved our family to Mount Holly here 11 years ago on downtown Oakland Street. I am a man of faith, and that is one of the most important things for me. But when I'm out and about in the town, and I'm talking to folks, my neighbors, people who I'm campaigning with, the question they ask me is, why are you running for city council? And half of the time, I talk about my campaign and my passions and my beliefs. And the other half, they're like, why in the world would you want to do that? They're saying there's a lot of negativity going on. And they're really dumbfounded by it. And I am as well. I think things are going awesome in Mount Holly. I think things are going great. When I moved here 11 years ago, and we lived downtown, and I'm just being honest, when I went downtown, it was a ghost town. When I sat out on my porch, there wasn't a lot of people walking by. But now, within the last 4 or 5 years, I've seen it completely transform before my very eyes. And it's very exciting. People walking their dogs, walking their babies. Our downtown is transformed with shops, restaurants, bars. Our art scene is growing. We've got new greenways, new parks. The Ransom Park is awesome. And we have the development coming with the expansion of the Veterans Park to bring us additional residential units downtown, a park, and also additional parking. So I think great things are happening. I just want to give kudos to the previous mayor, to the previous councils and members of the community who have had a vision for our city, who had plans, and now we're starting to see those plans come alive, and I'm going to be part of that moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Hendricks, and I am running for City Council, obviously, or I might not be here tonight. But I want everybody to know that the biggest thing in my life right now is my faith, my wife, my 5 daughters, and yeah, I said 5 daughters and 6 granddaughters. And it's made my life worth living. It's just a tremendous opportunity with all those folks. Like Jared, a lot of people ask me why you're running. I think that there is so much hope from today, and you name the deadline, sometime out into the future. This is a remarkable city. I've had the privilege of traveling throughout the world, all over the United States as a business coach. I've worked with companies as large as Coca-Cola and companies as small as 2 or 3 employees. And in those discussions, one of the things that I think has made my career successful with all those clients is it's about what's possible. Think about it. That would be my theme in just about any question that comes to me tonight. what's possible. You know, some years ago, we didn't necessarily have the luxury to know where we would be today, I'll say some 20 years ago. But they did pretty doggone good, right? They've got us to where we are. But there is a huge opportunity for us from today going forward so that we can build the kind of community that our children are going to want to continue to grow up in and raise their families. So with that said, just know that'll probably be my theme for tonight. But again, thank you all for coming out here tonight and giving us a chance to be heard.
Hey, citizens of Mount Holly. Thank you, GBA. Excuse me. My name is William Brooks. A lot of y'all may know me. And the reason I'm running for City Council of Mount Holly is because I would like to see transparency. I would also like to see our city continue to grow in the right way and also have infrastructure set up to where we have sustainable growth. Also, part of the things I've done in my life for the past 43 years is I've been a business owner for 22 years in Mount Holly. I've also I am the vice chairman of the Parks and Rec Committee for Mount Holly. I'm on the Historical Society Board, and I also run a nonprofit called We Are the Change We Want to See, which we're geared toward helping senior citizens and younger adults and trying to keep them out of trouble. One of the big things I'm working on is I want to preserve our small town charm, but also allow us to have growth that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
First, I want to also thank the GBA. I want to thank all of you guys out here for coming tonight, everyone watching online when they do watch. And I'd also like to thank everyone for taking the time to submit questions. And it's something on your day, so I appreciate your engagement in the community. I'm Lauren Shoemaker. I'm running for City Council. I've lived in Mount Holly for 19 years. My husband and I moved here just months after we got married, and we've raised our kids here. I have a daughter who's 15 and a son who's almost 9. His birthday's right after the election, so you can give him a birthday present by voting for me. They have both been very involved in our events and activities in the community, and it's one of the things that I've loved most about being here, the small town charm. I've also had the great privilege of serving on the City Council for the last 2 terms, 8 years. It's been a phenomenal experience and something that I've learned a lot from. One of the things I've learned the most is how wonderful our staff is and how great our staff and our City Council is at planning for the future for Mount Holly. You've heard a lot of people talking about plans up here. We have a lot of plans that we've engaged with staff, with consultants, and with citizen input, and put together strategic vision plans, pedestrian plans, bicycle plans, land use plans. Like, we could just keep going. Like, there's a list out there somewhere. But there's a lot of plans for the future, and I think that they project a really amazing future for the community. And some of those plans have really allowed us to do some incredible things in the 8 years that I've served on council. We've seen growth in our Parks and Rec. We've seen Branson Hunter Park open, the bridge. I got 15 seconds. The bridge for the greenways. We've seen incredible growth of our community, and so it's all been really exciting to be a part of, and I hope to continue to. Thank you.
Thank you all for those introductions. We're going to keep it a little more casual and ask you guys can stay seated during these answers. It was great standing up for the introduction. So we have a number of questions that we're going to knock out here for the next 45 minutes. We're going to ask that you go no longer than 1 minute. You will not be penalized for going under 1 minute. So that's okay there as well. So we'll talk about what the topic is. Go right to the question. We're going to start from my left to right this time. I'm going to right to left, and we'll mix it all around and have some fun here. So we're going to start over here to my left with Lauren on motivation to run. What is driving you to run for Mount Holly City Council at this time, and how do you believe your perspective will contribute to the city's future?
Okay. My motivation to run is my involvement over the last 15 to 20 years. I've been involved with nonprofits, with a local downtown church, and so I've met a lot of citizens, I've met a lot of people, and I feel like a lot of people feel comfortable coming to me and talking about problems and talking about things they're interested in. So when I see projects that I feel will really positively impact the community, I want want to be available to support them. I want to continue to support those projects. I want to continue to see really wonderful things happening in the community. And I want to continue responding to the needs of our citizens.
What inspired me to run is that my deep roots in Mount Holly and daily engagement with residents through my business have shown me the importance of responsible, transparent leadership. As someone who has both served and employed in this community, I understand the challenges and opportunities we face and bring practical, people-first decision-making to the table for Mount Holly.
My inspiration to run is who I'm looking at. It's you. I have worked diligently over the years with a number of different people that have goals, aspirations, and targets. And I feel very well equipped that when working with whomever's elected and the team that we have there, to create a team that sits on that panel on our Monday night meetings and to really work with them to build something. And again, on anything that's possible. I don't believe very well in, well, we just can't do it because that's how it is. I don't buy that. Our job is to go to work and make happen what you and a lot of people who aren't here tonight need to have happen.
Yeah, I kind of hit it out from the beginning, but my motivation is to keep things moving forward. And I think we have a great town, and things have transformed, like I said, before our very eyes. We have a lot of great opportunities ahead of us to make Mount Holly great. We really do. We've got, like I said, the Veterans Park. I really want to see these small businesses downtown supported. I'll have to say that's one of the biggest reasons I jumped in. I feel like they need additional foot traffic to help support their businesses. These folks have invested a lot of their lives into these businesses, and I want to see them be successful. And from there on out, from downtown out, is how it all spreads out with their economic development. And I just love it here, and I really am motivated to make things great in Mount Holly. Thank you.
My motivation is to, you look around, you see growth all around us. On the other side of the river, in the Charlotte metro area, which is us. I want to be a part of growing Mount Holly in a good, proper way. Not just to say, well, we've got a piece of land, let's put something over there. Well, let's put something over there. Let's think about what we're doing, and let's grow so that we know, let's make a business district. Let's get jobs in here so that people can work in Mount Holly and afford to buy a house or a home in Mount Holly. Growing with purpose. I've learned in working with Mount Holly city staff and working in my community what leadership is about, and I know I can apply that to Mount Holly. Thank you.
I'm short, so I'm going to still stand up. Why am I running? I've asked myself that several times, and some of my friends have said, you know, you're crazy. I'm sure everybody's got that. Why in the world would you want to subject yourself to that? And my main reason is I want to make a difference. Is I've operated and listened to things going on, you think, I don't like this, I like that, we should have done something different. And I said to myself, you know, if you're going to complain, you need to be willing to do something about it. So here I am. I want to make a difference. I talked about earlier, I want to reduce taxes. That's kind of my second reason. And I'll pass this on back.
I'd say my motivation to run is more so, I guess it could be cliche, but I feel like it is my path, and God has given me this journey to actually run. And maybe not get reelected, that might not be my path, but to actually run and to be on council now and to continue to try to move forward with that, because I am a public servant at heart. I've had so many different jobs growing up simply because I've always wanted more. I've always wanted to be better. And once I became a law enforcement officer, I found a passion of mine, and it took me to places that I never thought I could see. And when I showed up to city council meetings, because I had to show up to city council meetings because of presentations of being on the police department, that motivated me to want to move forward and come to meetings when I didn't have to be there, so I could try to run for city council, because I wanted to see what was going on in town and how to continue that movement and to continue that for my children whenever they grow up here.
Thank you all. We're gonna go now from right to left. This is on budget and prioritization. What values and criteria will guide your decisions when prioritizing the city's annual budget, especially as Mount Holly continues to grow and diversify? What values and criteria? Budget.
So I guess it kind of brings me back to law enforcement as well, and also our fire department, first responders. That's going to be, I feel like, our backbone to what we have moving forward. And so with our law enforcement officers and our fire department, they're going to drive what's going to be needed as well to make sure they're taken care of, so we can continue to do what we want to outside of that with our budget and prioritizing and talking to the people in the community, not just during campaign season. Another reason why I hate campaign season, because people just show up to talk to people during that time. I'm showing up before campaign season, during and after. So I want to continue those conversations to see what the majority of the people are talking about and what they want. But of course, we have to take care of priority number one, being our first responders, and also talking to our citizens to make sure we're on top of what they want. A lot of people say that city council makes decisions just by ourselves. We don't. We're actually talking to people to make sure we're a reflection of those citizens. So we have to have that voice for them.
When I was working, I worked for NCB and Nations Bank and Bank of America. One thing that was drummed into our heads was a little phrase that's never left, highest and best use. And I think in terms of how to prioritize our budget, we need to think about what's the highest and best use for our funds, for our resources. You know, how will we apply those throughout the community, and what will be the most meaningful to the citizens and to our staff? And the highest and best use, would be my criteria.
For me, the budget should be driven by our direction and the things that are most important. As Ivory alluded to, our infrastructure to include our police, our fire, and our public works. Our city staff, we should be hiring the best folks, which I believe we do, but we should continue on that path. So those things are most important, but also keep in mind that Mount Holly has an aging infrastructure in a lot of ways, and we also have infrastructure that, as far as roads, that we can't do a whole lot about, but then again, we can. So things are, and you've seen the growth that's taxed all these things to the limit. What I mean is stretched. So the infrastructure, and then deciding what is our direction. We need to spend going in the right direction, not spend and say, well, we think we'll do this. No, let's have our mind made up. Let's have a plan and spend that way. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think on the city budget, just a few things I've learned, some facts. The city has won awards for our budget approach. While taxes have not gone down, council recently reduced the tax rate and kept it even in the last budget. The city budget adopted by council for this year reduced the year-over-year budget, and that's good stuff. I think our staff's done a fantastic job. I think for me, obviously continue on that path, and as far as my values, I think integrity is the biggest thing we need when it comes to budgeting. In my profession, I'm constantly audited. I work in software engineering. We're regulated by the federal government, so I've been under a lot of audits, and integrity is the biggest thing. I have to answer a lot of questions and make sure we're doing it the correct way.
Think back about 20 years, give or take. We had an aging infrastructure, a water sewer system, and we were told that it was going to cost us a boatload of dough to rebuild it ourselves. Well, we know that was true. But at the end of the day, had we been thinking then, and I don't know that we had the data that we have today, but had we had the data then that we have now, we might have made some different decisions. Now think of today and think over the next 20 years. We've got a distinct responsibility to go long play. Let's think about what the community needs, not for just the here, the now, but for the long play. And while that may sound, a little dangerous in terms of the current budget, there are certain things that
reference to the city's budget. I think that Jonathan Blanton, Brian DuPont, I think her name's Michelle Wood, have done a great job of keeping our budget tight. And like Jared said, we did win awards for that. But I think even with the budget being where it is, our main focus should be to focus on not only the skilled labor, if you will, but also the city workers, the people that pick up your trash, the people that when there's things in your street, they have to come out and pick it up. We need to make sure they're taken care of too. If we focus on that and making sure that our taxes are not raised just because we decided to spend money where we shouldn't, I think our budget will work itself out. I think in the long scheme, if we're really looking down the road at what we need to make sure that we're making it to where people that also work and serve in this town can also afford to buy and live in this town.
So the reason we have a city government is to provide services to the community. Trash pickup, water and sewer, police, fire, things that no one could reasonably, like I can't afford a fire truck, so I don't know if anybody here can. So these are the things that we collaborate together as a community to provide that service. That's our number one most important thing, is making sure that those services are supported financially so that the community as a whole is provided all of those services that we need. But under that lens, I think it's very important for us to examine the costs. I have pushed twice in my tenure on this one council to lower the tax rate. We tried very hard to lower it as much as possible the last time. And really the only reason we didn't lower it further was because of need for our public safety. So supporting public safety, supporting our quality of life, supporting and realizing the capital needs of a 150-year-old city. So.
Okay, so we're gonna give everybody the opportunity to answer first, and I may mess this up, and then complex, but I'm gonna let William go first, go around, but then Lauren, make sure I get to you at the end, and then we'll have Bob go first, et cetera, et cetera. So William, and going to my right, this category is on residential growth. With rapid residential development in Mount Holly, how would you ensure this growth is sustainable and aligned with infrastructure capacity, transportation access, and community character?
That's a great question. Well, residential growth in Mount Holly, I think that one way we can make it sustainable is if we do not necessarily affordable housing, but make sure we have housing that has charming character. Not everybody can afford to live in Valentine, but also not everybody can afford to live in Mount Holly as well. So I think going forward, if we look into some way to maybe not just let anybody build here, but build houses that are, for one, have character and they're not just a cookie cutter house like everybody else has. I think that's how we have sustainable residential growth.
I think I agree a lot with what William said. I think we have to be careful to not grow so quickly that our infrastructure can't handle it. So again, I'm going to go back to the infrastructure. Folks, there's over $1 trillion by our federal government in 2,200 different programs for grants. And again, we've done a reasonably good job in Mount Holly over the last couple of years pulling in some grant money, and that's great. But there's a lot more out there. So in an effort to really work on the growth, we have to work on the infrastructure. We have to work on the road system. It's become a nightmare. Everybody in here knows that, depending on the hour of the day you're in it. And if we sit here and talk, you know, we need this, we need housing, what we need to do is prioritize. Growth is not necessarily the best answer right now. Getting what we have right is.
So for me, over the last 5 years, we've grown around 60% residential units, and that's about 200 units per year. So that's pretty steady growth, and I think that's good. I think we do need to continue to grow. I think we're in a great position to be choosy as well. We don't accept any development. As you know, the city has very high standards for the residential units that they allow into our city. And also, I want you to think about one thing. These people are private property owners who own this land that wants to get developed. And can you imagine the city telling you you can't sell your private property? I'm not saying you should sell it for anything. We've already turned down some recent requests. But I am saying that we should consider all these factors when we talk about growth. And I think we've built out our infrastructure pretty well. We just made huge upgrades in our water infrastructure, water sewer infrastructure, which is big. And as you know, the roads are controlled by the state. Thank you.
It's coming. Development, because it's all around us. We're not in a walled-off community. It's coming. So what do? You grow it right. If the developers need us more than we need them, if someone wants to come in and build something, we should have guidances. And part of it should be, as mentioned before, infrastructure. But infrastructure is not just roads and sewer, it's also how is it going to impact our schools? How is it going to impact our police force? Are we going to build them so close together that if a fire is started, it's going to affect different units? Or are we going to put guidances in place that these homes have to be in a certain way that fire can come in and protect them? So let's look at the whole gamut when we talk about, and where are we putting them? Is it going to stretch our roads even more, or are we going to put them in a place that will be conducive? Thank you.
I've been on a mission in the past couple of weeks, walking through many of the neighborhoods around Holly. I think I've gone through about 70% in the evaluation area. We've had plenty of growth in the past, and there's plenty of places out there for people to live and to be. And I think in addition to that, we're going to have to be very careful about how we add things. We talk about schools and traffic and infrastructure. We have to be very careful about how those things are impacted by any decisions that are made.
Growth, like everyone knows, is inevitable. So I think we start with great infrastructure, again, like I spoke to last time, because if we have the infrastructure in place, we'll be able to handle and have sustainable residential growth going forward, but also the commercial side of things, bringing in more jobs and having more businesses come to town is going to be attractive for those people who want to come and live in our town of Mount Holly. So I think with what we're doing, we're having the connector road happen on Caldwell Drive to YMCA Drive, where the city has put in approximately $4 to $5 million to be able to have that road connect from the backside of the hotel right there that we have, so the Banks Apartments, or be able to get to YMCA Drive to be able to come out at that light, because right now it's a nightmare and can be very scary. So it's great to have that in place and that being able to come up, and also having the grants that we just got approved for to get more sidewalks on Beatty and also Tuckasegee as well.
So when I ran for my first election 8 years ago, my motto was to promote growth and preserve history. And what I meant by that was to promote controlled and responsible growth in the community. And I think that, honestly, I think Mount Holly does a great job of that. Being a few years behind the curve of some of our municipalities around us, I think we learn from their successes and we also learn from their mistakes. So Mount Holly has actually denied multiple large housing developments in recent years because the city undergoes a really extensive review process where we examine the infrastructure, have them do traffic impact analyses, we contact the school districts, we're reaching out to the city engineer to make sure that these developments are not a burden on our community. And when the police and fire say adding this development will reduce our response time, we have said no. And when all the departments check off the box and say this is going to be a positive, successful ad for the community, then we will introduce it.
Thank you all. We're going to start with Bob and continue the circle here. Seems to work. This category, commercial and business development. How do you plan to support and grow Mount Holly's business community, both downtown and citywide, while addressing any regulatory or zoning challenges?
That's a great question. I would tell you that I think we've done a remarkable job with our downtown. And looking to move to a community like ours to run their business, they're out there. They will help. Their taxes back into our, our city will be remarkable if we give it a chance to work, but we've got to think a little bigger, a little better.
Yeah, again, I think we have the opportunity to be selective on the development that we do decide to choose. I think a really great example of commercial development, I can come to it, is the Gateway Center. So we have the Belmont Hospital, which is really a gold mine for Mount Holly. It's in Belmont, but all that 100 or so acres right there in the Gateway, we've got a whole slew of new medical offices that have opened up, apartments and hotels. And all that traffic stays right there at 85 and exit 27, which is really nice. And I think, again, we have a very promising developer with our Veterans Park. So I think the city's done a good job trying to pick development that's going to work for our community, for our charm, and provide what we're looking for downtown. Thank you.
I think commercial development is, first off, in making not only people, but businesses want to come to Mount Holly. It's done by keeping us safe and protected. No one's going to move a business here if they feel like it's just a crime-riddled community, which we're not, but we don't want to become that way. So you make it attractive. You make developments, residential developments that are attractive to folks. You make your fire and your fire and police protection safe. You want to attract them in so that you're not having to give tax incentives to try to draw them in. You want businesses to come here because they want to. And then encourage them to be a part of downtown. Encourage them to invest in Mount Holly. Thank you.
When I was growing up, many residents worked in the mills, and those that didn't work for Duke Power. Now what's happening? Most of the mills have closed down, Duke Power's closing plants left and right, so we've got to do something about those jobs. We have the National Gypsum and the Freightliner, we love having those, but finding a big company and having the acreage to put in a big plant is going to be difficult. So I'd like us to take our business development that we just recently added to the city employee and focus on small businesses, maybe 50 to 100 to 150 employees. We've got places to put business that size here, and they will encourage, there'll be a place for people to work, and those people will stay and want to be here. And so I would focus on small businesses. Thank you.
So I'll start with saying the city council approved, the staff hired a economic development director, which has been phenomenal. I don't even know if it's been a year yet since we've had Matt Black, but being able to bring in and recruit different businesses to come to our town, for him to work with staff and to other businesses to come in to speak directly to them has been phenomenal to be able to have that. Because a lot of times that right there was a piece missing where staff would have to try to tackle a job that was a job in itself. And so thankfully we have that to be able to try to continue forward with the recruitment to help our downtown with Veterans Park expansion. But also the city has approved, I think, over 60 commercial permits have been approved in the last year. So people are trying to come here. And so what we're doing now on council and continue to move forward to do with our economic development director has been phenomenal, and I'm so thankful that we have that position.
So I already mentioned the commercial development, the support from the economic director. So I'll stress that I think one of the most important things that we can do for our community, for our small businesses, is to preserve our small town charm. I think that that's one of the things that people love the most when they come. They walk down Main Street, it's charming, the shops are privately owned, we don't have any large chains, the restaurants are fantastic and they're family owned. And I think continuing that is going to be a really important part of Mount Holly staying the way it is, feeling the way it is. One of the things that we can do to support that is by creating more walkable residents, people that can spend their income downtown. And that's one reason that I support the downtown development in Veterans Park. Having more people with disposable income just a block away from our downtown businesses will provide a great deal of support to them. Also providing a safe community for our businesses providing a safe community for our businesses is how we'll also support them.
So for me, being a small business owner, I think it's pivotal for us to have commercial space available for the business that want to come in. Also, think we need to incentivize those companies to come to Mount Holly, to bring their company here, to employ citizens of Mount Holly so everybody can be paid fairly. Also, in doing that, I think that the business space for Mount Holly, although yes, you do need people, I think we need to be a little more selective as far as what companies we allow to come in. I don't think it should be a free-flowing, just anybody who wants to sign up for a permit gets it. I think we do need to vet them and make sure that their business aligns with what we have, our ethics on for Mount Holly.
Thank you all. We're going to start over to my right. Public safety and community well-being is this question. Mount Holly has a strong public safety reputation. What strategies will you support to maintain safety, and how will you address broader issues like mental health, emergency response, and community policing?
Yeah, so we spend about 40% of our general fund budget to our police and fire. So that's a huge investment, and I think it's really paid off. As you kind of mentioned, we have one of the lowest crime rates in Mount Holly, and we're the second largest city in Mount Holly. And actually, we're top 10 in North Carolina as far as crime rates. We had a 13% reduction over the past 5 years. And to specifically address your question about emergency response, we're the only city in Gaston County that has our own 911 center. So I think we're doing a fantastic job with our public safety, and I would just continue to support the great folks that we have running those organizations.
Public safety, I would definitely support it by making sure that they are current and up to date on technology. Okay, make sure that these folks have the equipment that they need to make sure hiring practices are in place. I did a ride-along recently with the Mount Holly Police and learned a lot of things more than I can mention in my time here. But one thing I did learn is these guys do have current equipment, but it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. We do have our own 911 system for the police, which means that that person that takes your 911 call is also the same person that dispatches the police to your issue. I stood in that room, I saw how it works. This is a big investment, because I'm going to tell you, when you look at what's going on around us, you see that crime is close by, and it has crept into our city, but we're on guard.
Public safety here is great. We've made tremendous strides in recent months, recent years, with applying some grants and to build great infrastructure. We need to continue to do that, continue to support that. Unfortunately, this is one of these things you can't just do and stop. You got to keep going. Like others talk about improving the technology and keeping up. Every day, new things come out, and we have to keep up. It's going to continue to be an investment that we're going to have to honor and have to support. Crime will creep over if we aren't vigilant and make an effort to stop it. I think we have some great camera system downtown. I understand we're expanding that, and that will be even better. We got some grants to help support that. Thank you.
So I'll piggyback on what Gary just said about the cameras. So there's a greenway, of course, that everybody knows and people walk daily. And City Council approves cameras for the greenways to make sure they're as safe as possible. Because of course, it can be scary if you're out there walking, not paying attention. The last thing you want to have to be is like me on guard, looking around all the time, watching my own six whenever I'm alone. But also, the city has a approved flock cameras as well that the police department, they use all the time, and it's helped recover stolen vehicles, stop people coming in smuggling drugs, and it's been such a great system to be able to use. And so they're looking to put up more, and also live feed cameras are going to be coming up as well. But also with training, I think training would also continue to be beneficial, that the chief, assistant chief, lieutenants are continuing to implement into the police department simply because something's always changing, things are always evolving, and so they have to stay up to speed, in which they do, and so I take the chief up, and he knows exactly what he's doing on that.
I personally believe that previous councils and mayors and city manager have done a really amazing job of creating and fostering an environment that has allowed our police and fire departments to investigate technology, to bring new ideas. The city staff and the city council is the one saying, hey, we really need flock cameras, because honestly, I didn't know what that was. I don't know if you guys know what a flock camera is. I had to have someone explain it to me. So, but we've created an environment where they feel comfortable coming forward and asking for this technology. And not just asking for the technology, but also reaching out and getting grants. Recently our fire department received yet another grant to buy the equipment and some of the equipment and updated materials that they need. So I think that continuing to support them, I think every ask, I think for the most part, from the public sort of safety sector since I've been on council has been approved unanimously by our council. Because we see the value in those people being able to support us and protect us.
I think that public safety, as far as Mount Holly goes, starts at the top. And we have one of the best police chiefs, Chief Ray over there. And his group of guys make sure that we can go to whatever park. And I work downtown and I live in Mount Holly, and I can walk. And I'm not scared. I'm not worried about something happening because we alleviate problems like that. And also with our first responders, what is Chief's name? Chief Baker. He's got a phenomenal group of guys, and they make sure they do everything that they can by the book, and they get out to calls when they need to. And I think for Mount Holly, it's just all about us as a community as well, looking out for each other. Like if we see something that's not going right, we don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call and get the situation taken care of.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the gratitude that I have for our police and fire. That it doesn't get a lot better than what we have here in town. But the second thing that comes to my mind are two groups: the elderly and the youngsters, the young people. So when I think of public safety and I think of healthcare, I think we've got to really take into consideration, here's the thought, asking them, what do we want? What are we missing? What would be better? What are we doing well? Right? To start, stop, continue. What do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to continue to do? But go to the seniors, both from healthcare and, quite frankly, a public safety standpoint. What are their thoughts? And then the other side, asking the kids. I think we're going to get some remarkable answers if we choose to engage the young ones in this community.
I'd love to get two more questions and closing comments if you guys are still good here. This one is on regional collaboration. Mount Holly is a fast-growing region. How would you strengthen partnerships with neighboring municipalities, county leaders, and regional organizations to address shared challenges and opportunities?
One of the things came up recently was public transportation. Mount Holly does not have public transportation. It's largely subsidized by tax dollars, which I'm not a big fan of. But I think that Gastonia has started a program. Now, let me just say this. People that don't have a car, it is extremely difficult for them to get a job and go to work. Because people don't live just down the road from where they work anymore. You usually have to drive miles. So I think that looking at Gastonia, what they have embarked on with rideshare and those programs will be something that we should look at so that we put people to work, that we give them the opportunity to get up in the morning or afternoon and go go and work and then come home and learn that accountability and personal responsibility. Thank you.
Regional collaboration is something we're going to have to work extremely hard at. We've got a great city manager, Mr. Blackno here, who I will send him to all of nearby communities and have him talk with them about common problems and ways that we can work together to solve things. We don't have to stick within Gaston County, we go across to Mecklenburg and find communities over there, not just the big Charlotte, but some of the other smaller communities. We can't be the only small entity that has issues. We go out and find things, and I'm sure we're going to find similar stories and similar problems, and perhaps collaborating against the grants together, it would be beneficial to both parties, all parties. Thank you.
I'd say relationships is the bread and butter, the key piece to this whole thing, this question, because networking, which I do naturally and out and about all the time, and my business thrives off of just relationships that I've built. So being on city council, going to these different events like I did today, I knew all the state representatives, and most of them have their cell phone numbers, and also getting a chance to go to these town and state dinners that being on city council, you'll be able to do, go in there, network, talk, ask questions, bring a list of questions with you to build these relationships. But the biggest thing about those relationships, you also have to be genuine, be yourself, because when asking for things, of course, just like you don't want people to ask for stuff all the time, you also have to be able to offer something. So being in those communities and having those relationships with those state reps is a huge thing. And also, our city manager, Jonathan Clinton, he's phenomenal with his relationships, and it's a huge reason also why he got hired. So thank you for all you do.
I think one thing to consider very heavily as you're voting and considering who to vote for is that is the role of city council. That is the role of city council and our mayor and our city manager and our assistant city manager is to make these connections and relationships in the community. The city, like every council member serves on a different board, on a different regional association, be it part of the Gaston Business Association, Mont Cross Chamber, Central Atlanta Council of Governments, which is a regional to the Charlotte area, and all these items are like these type of topics are discussed. We have representatives that serve on the regional transportation committees. So in each of those situations, we need advocates for Mount Holly to show up, to be able to speak to the problems that we're experiencing and collaborate with our fellow communities. We do absolutely reach out when we have problems at the regional and the county levels in different communities. We have great relationships. As Ivory mentioned, we know our council members and we reach out to the state regularly, and we'll continue to do so. And whoever you are electing, it's going to be our representative.
Great question. I think it starts with communication. I think that once a quarter, all the city council members from here to Stanley to Gaston to wherever should all get in a room and go over what problems, what challenges does their municipality face. And let's see if we can sit down and we may be able to help them, they may be able to help us. And if we can't help each other, then we can go to our state rep and say, hey, we have these issues. What can we do to help? If it's funding or something, or if it's just getting anything done, what could you do to help us get it done to where we all can benefit? Because if we benefit Stanley, Stanley benefits us, we all help each other. That's all I think we should do.
Two phrases come to mind. There's strength in numbers, and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Put us all together, all the communities, be it Mecklenburg, Stanley, everybody, Belmont. We band together, we take that math, and we start taxing the ever living daylights out of the representatives that we vote for on a state level and a national level, and we hold them accountable to taking care of this community. And I'm going to say it again, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. We're not going to apologize for being with them
really good points here, so I'm not going to belabor it, but we had just a huge successful in regional partnerships with the city of Charlotte with our wastewater treatment outsourcing. So I think the city kind of knows what they're doing there. They're doing a good job, and this is something I'd like to explore if like the council to learn more about.
Okay, it does look like on our time that this will be the time for our 1 minute closing statement per candidate. It can be in response to someone else's answer or whatever else you'd like to do for the next 60 seconds. I'm going to ask Derek to go first and we'll continue that order.
Well, thanks for all the warning. I don't have a lot of closing remarks other than to say that I think these have been great questions and a great way to express across all the candidates and get their views out on the table. So it's been a good experience for all of us, and thank you very much for coming.
So Gaston County was awarded more state money this past year than the other 99 counties in the state of North Carolina. And Mount Holly tremendously benefited from that state funding, the state money. And so those relationships that we were just talking about with our state reps that we have had, and Jonathan Blanton has, and Lauren Shoemaker has, those things go a long way for Mount Holly, and we have to continue to do that and build those relationships, talk to people, keep our community involved, keep our first responders, making sure they're taken care of, make sure the citizens are involved in a lot of these conversations, and host more of these events right here with City Council. So I really, truly think that Mount Holly is a great place to be, and will continue to be a great place to be if you continue to vote for me.
I would say, my last minute here, that I'm incredibly proud to have been a part of this community for as long as I've lived here. Incredibly proud and thoroughly enjoyed the experience of serving on council. I feel like the city is in a really fantastic place. The event that we were at this morning, Ivory and I were at with the Gaston Area Regional Realtors, sorry, I don't know, it was some acronym, but a bunch of realtors. And they were wonderful and expressed repeatedly to us how phenomenal Mount Holly has improved and changed over the last 10 years. That more and more people are wanting to move here, that our downtown, the buildings, the new houses, everything is just a thrilling thing. And I really like to continue to see that energy, that positive momentum move forward. I will support that momentum. I will support the city in every way that I can and serve this community. If you'll vote for me in November, thank you.
So I want to use my last minute to say, first and foremost, thank y'all for spending your evening with us. We know y'all have other things you could be doing, but it shows how much you care about Mount Holly. Also, of course, I'm not a politician, so this isn't like a spiel to vote for me. But I would implore everybody in here, kids, adults, everybody, make sure that whenever you pick up your phone or your computer to send out any kind of Facebook message or post on the forum, think for 1 second. Is this something I would want somebody to do to me? Do I want this to go out to the world forever? Is this really what our character is? Is this what it is? So I would say, before you talk about anybody, pray for them, and then vote for them.
There's a lot of stuff, right, going on in our community right now. Good stuff, positive stuff. There's a lot of challenges in this community as well. I'm looking around the room right now full of people out there, people up here, regardless of who gets elected. As long as whoever gets elected is willing to go to work. Because we've got some work to do. But you know, more than that, my last minute here is more important when I think about who we're doing this for.
Okay, so I didn't get to talk about two things I'm passionate about with economic development, so I'm gonna use it here. I think when you think about economic development, it's not just commercial, residential, but it's arts, the greenways, and our parks. These things are very important. They're something I'm passionate about. They bring new residents to our town, new businesses, and they also bring tourism to our town. And then another thing I think about is our nonprofits. We have, big council is one form of leadership, but our nonprofits are really what helps the city move forward. We have some great ones: Community Development Foundation, Community Gardens, Arts on the Greenway, Farmers Market, CRO, BOMA, Rotary, Historical Society, just to name a few. So I believe these are two big areas that I personally am passionate about and want to focus on, so we can bring some great economic development. Please vote for me in November. I'm Chair Cucino. Let's move forward together. Thank you.
I want to talk about education for just a moment. In Mount Holly, we have, used to, especially in Gaston County, all the towns have their own schools. Lowell Elementary, Mount Holly Elementary, Mount Holly High School, all those things. Well, that has all changed, folks. We have 3 elementary schools. We have 3 high schools. We have South Point in Mount Holly. Students, some go to South Point, a lot go to Stuart Cramer, and a lot go to East Gaston. But there are also students that go to private schools, Gaston County, they go to charter schools, Mountain Island. There are a host of young people that are homeschooled. So we need to change our thinking and the way that we address education. It's not really brick and mortar anymore. This affects everybody. Education is one of those things that lifts up the community. Let's make sure that we have the things in place to support our young people. Thank you.
Well, please join me in a round of applause for all of our candidates. On behalf of the DGA, we want to thank you all, both here and in the audience, for such a civil discussion. A couple items of note for elections. Early voting begins October the 16th. The only early voting site in Gaston County is the Board of Elections on West Franklin Boulevard. That goes until November the 1st. The election hub is going to be a new site where the questions that we were not able to get answered tonight, we have sent them survey questions, and we're going to have this new election hub for all of our municipal candidates. So stay tuned there to be more educated and to share all of that good information. And we have a lot more of these forums. This is the first one we're doing, and I'm sure you guys want to know what's happening in Gastonia, Dallas, McAdenville, and Belmont. So stay tuned. We'd love to have you all out there in support. Finally, thank you again to the City of Mount Holly. It's a beautiful facility. I think we should have all of our events here. So I'll see if we can move them this way. You can't afford it. Yeah. Thank you, Caroline, for that sponsorship. And finally, if you would mind helping clean up, we might have some food for you in the back. So that's the incentive there, so we're not here all night. With that, thank you guys so much